Well, I'm sorry. This is Dave from Sarkman Gaming. I said I would come back with a video and apologize if the Snyder Cut ended up being good, and it's freaking good. So we're going to go over some of the things that I liked and disliked, but let me just tell you at the offset, it's a lot better than I thought. My hat's off to Zack Snyder on this one. He really did a good job. All right, let's get into this. Some of the things that I liked. Let's start with the first one. That might be a little superficial, but it's still true. Gal Gadot's legs. Shazam. That's all I'm saying. I need a minute. I need a minute. All right, there's a lot of good scenes in this. Let's move on to another one. This is going to be a spoiler-ridden opinion piece, okay? Spoilers everywhere. So if you don't want to know what happens, go watch it. It is good, but spoilers happen now. A scene I appreciated quite a lot was a scene with Alfred attempting to make tea. Wonder Woman was making the tea. Alfred kept trying to, no, can I get in there and do that? No, and she was insistent on doing it herself, and Alfred was critiquing her the whole time with put the tea in, put the water in first, put the tea in first, do it this way, do it that way, and he seemed legitimately irate that she would not let him make her a cup of tea. There's little scenes like this all throughout the movie, and although it is long, it's 4 hours long. It's little scenes like this that really help make it as good as it is. Another scene, Mira and Steppenwolf. In the original, I remember Steppenwolf just walking all up and down the Atlanteans, and at least in the Zack Snyder edition here, the Snyder Cut, if you will, Mira sort of tools up Steppenwolf at one point. She can control the water, at least to a degree, like Aquaman, and she starts sucking the water right out of his face, and it's not okay. It's not okay. He starts bleeding, and although he does win, I thought that was a nice touch that Steppenwolf isn't just walking over everybody. The Martian Manhunter is in this. He makes 2 cameo appearances, one in the middle of the film and one near the end. It's not much. It's a couple lines of dialogue, but you do get to see Martian Manhunter. No Green Lantern. Whatever. I guess that's just never going to happen. It's my favorite. That's fine. You don't need to have him in there. Another small detail I noticed was during the scenes when they were showing Lois grieving for Superman. They had the Man of Steel theme playing slowly in the background on piano. I didn't catch it until a couple hours in. But again, I think that's a nice touch that helps make this movie a lot better than the ones that we all saw in the theater. What's up next? Darkseid is in this. Finally, we get to see Steppenwolf's master, and they do a great job with that. They lead up to it. He's just having conversations. You don't ever get to really see him except for the opening of the movie when it describes how they defeated him the first time around. But you get to see him, and as a DC fan, I have to say they did a great job on his looks. He looks really good and menacing and powerful. There's even a little glimpse of Big Barda in the background there near the end, if you're paying attention, so look out for that. At least I believe it's Barda. I'm pretty sure. This is going to be embarrassing if it's not. One of the scenes that I did like in the original, and I'm glad to see it still here for the Snyder Cut, is the scene when they bring Superman back to life. He doesn't know what's going on, and he just starts demonstrating his power as Cyborg and Aquaman and the Flash and Wonder Woman all try to convince him, hey, you're Superman. Remember who you are. And he just starts putting the wood to everybody that's on that screen. This time around, it's an extended scene. We get to see a little bit more of why Superman is as powerful as he is. And it's just enjoyable to watch. It was a great scene then, and it's an even better scene this time around. I really think you're going to enjoy it. One small change that I think shows that just a little bit of dialogue change can have a big impact is near the end when they're all making the final assault on Steppenwolf. Cyborg catches Aquaman in the air, and in the original, they said some cheesy line. It was something like, "Ride ain't over yet." And he's like, "My man." Well, this time he just catches Aquaman and he simply says, "You're welcome." And Aquaman still says, "My man." But that works so much better. I remember cringing in my chair when I was watching the theatrical release in 2017 when he says "Ride ain't over yet." It felt off. It was off. It didn't jive well. I'm glad they changed that. And that's just an example of like 2 lines of dialogue can have an impact on the film. Well, you can't like everything. There are some things I don't like about this film. Let's begin those now. The first one, and maybe it's a minor one, I went into this movie with a lot of hate in my heart. I was not expecting much, so I had a lot of aggression in me when the movie first started, so maybe that's why I noticed this one. But when they go over when Superman dies at the end of Batman v Superman, and his shockwaves going out when he screams is his final sound, right? And he's dying. And it just keeps going and going, and you end up hearing it like 3 and 4 times. Why do you hear the same sound 3 and 4 times when it's going? It doesn't. I felt like I was in the Matrix, so didn't care for that one. That's just a minor one. Let's move on. This next one, perhaps I'll seem a little insensitive, but it's Lois grieving for Superman. It felt like they had 7 different scenes of her getting mochachinos and crying and somber music. That was the Man of Steel music, but still. It just felt like it went on too long. Now, I understand that you've got to show that the character has just lost the love of her life. I would be grieving if I lost Superman. I love Superman too, okay? He's Superman, just not that way. But I just thought it was a little much. The thing's already 4 hours long, okay? Maybe we could have shaved a couple seconds off of that. But that's it. That's all I'm going to say on that one. I know it had to be there. Just thought it could be a little shorter. Let's move on. Slow motion. There is so much slow motion in this movie. There is so much slow motion in this movie. I thought my clothes were going to go out of style before the slow motion would stop. Wonder Woman's in slow-mo, Cyborg's in slow-mo, Lois's Grieving's in slow-mo, Superman's in slow-mo. If Green Lantern was there, they'd have put him in slow motion too. I mean, it is everywhere. Everywhere. This film is laden with slow motion shots. And again, good film, but you've got to call it like it is. And it is running rampant. Look, I understand slow motion adds something to the scene, but let's call it like it is. There's just too much of it. Everything's in slow motion. You can probably, you know what? You probably save 90 minutes. 90 minutes if you just stop slow-moing stuff. That's an exaggeration, but still. All right, something that's personal to me. I miss the Danny Elfman and the original Superman soundtrack. I know that was put in there in the theatrical release. It's not here now, but you know, nostalgia is a mother. And when that Danny Elfman theme hit, when Batman is talking to Commissioner Gordon in the theater, everyone recognized it. And the same when Superman came back and started Monkey Stomping Steppenwolf. You got to hear that original Superman theme. It's iconic. Not saying it had to be there this time. The movie works very well without it. Soundtrack's still great. It's just something I noticed, and I miss it. You know, you always miss your childhood. Y'all young people understand that later. But all right, let's move on to Jared Leto. I don't get the whole Jared Leto thing. I really don't. He's just the Joker. Like, I don't understand. The Joker's iconic. I will say that in the end scene when they added that little clip of the future, when it looks like everything's come to an end and Superman has gone nuts, you see Jared Leto and he's dressed up as the Joker, and I'll say that he looks great as that Joker. They did a great job, and he actually comes off genuinely nuts. But I'm glad we didn't end up with the gold teeth and tattoos all over the place Joker that we saw in the Suicide Squad. I don't get why that scene should be there. It's not needed. It just comes off to me as a way to be able to tweet that Jared Leto is the Joker again. So we have to maybe go back and watch another terrible Suicide Squad movie. But that's my opinion. I don't think it needs to be there. All right, y'all. Let's talk about 4:3. 4:3 ratio sucks. You're never going to convince me that it doesn't suck. It's 2021. We have these things called widescreen televisions now. That's how the world is. You didn't want it to be in widescreen, don't make the movie, okay? That's my opinion on it. Like, I watched it, and you know what? Honestly, it's not even noticeable until you get to every single next scene and you go, oh, maybe it's going to pan out now. Oh, maybe it's going to pan out now. Now, I read a quote, and I forget. I should probably go look it up. But it said that they were not going to make it widescreen so it doesn't interfere with the vision of Zack Snyder. Does anyone believe that crap? Like, really? The vision? No, it's not in widescreen because you didn't bloody make it that way. And you couldn't transform the 4:3 box video that we have now and make it look widescreen without making it look even worse. There's a nice shot. There's a nice shot at the end of the movie when all the heroes line up and it pans out and you get that Justice League feel. It's missing someone. It's missing someone. I feel like there's someone green that should be there. But they pan out. They're all standing in a nice line. And I said, man, you know what would look great here? Widescreen, if you could see everyone. There's a couple parts. It just looks wonky, okay? When I go to watch this remake that's had $70 million dumped into it for special effects, I don't want to go and get my Philips Magnavox from the attic to fit the aspect ratio properly. Let's move on to the last thing I dislike, and that's Cyborg as a whole. I didn't like Cyborg at all. I didn't like him at all. The entire film, it looks like he just smells donkey dew the whole time. He's in a permanent mean mug status. He's just upset, and it gets old. It really did wear on me. I don't know if the man ever smiled or gave you more than a smirk the entire movie. Another thing I don't like about him is the moral decisions of his character during the movie. When Cyborg's first created, his dad tells him that, you know, the internet today is going to be a joke. You can pretty much break into whatever you want and take whatever you want. And it's going to be a struggle for you to not do that when you're literally able to do whatever you want and no one can stop you. But we see a comparison between him and the Flash. So in the first scene, a Cyborg scene, he sees a struggling single mother and she doesn't have a lot of money. She's trying to work. She's trying to do the best for her kid. He gets a view of the bank account and it only shows a few dollars. And then through the power of the interwebs, he gives her like $100,000. And when she's at the ATM, it says, "You've won the lottery. Enjoy your new money." And we get that little feel-good moment. You know, she hugs her kid. Well, you know, the problem is money just isn't made up. So he stole that from someone. It came from someone else. And although you could say that someone with billions of dollars might not even notice, and that could be true, he's still a thief, okay? Like, you still stole. Doesn't matter how little or from who. You're a thief. And I think that's a great scene because the immediate next scene is the Flash visiting his father, who's completely in jail and doesn't look like he's getting out. So Barry Allen, much like the terrible CW show, we see Barry Allen trying to get into criminal justice to find a means to be able to exonerate his father. Now, this is very important because the Flash might be the most powerful Justice Leaguer when you see all of his powers develop throughout the comics. He is not to be trifled with. He could break his dad and anyone he wanted out of that jail. No one would even know it happened. It would be terrifying. And yet, he's not going to do it. He's going to do it the right way. Like, look, the law sucks. Life sucks. But it's the law. His dad's in prison. He's going to try and do whatever he can to break him out, but he's not using his powers to do so. So I thought that was a great comparison between the two's decision making. So to make that decision to not just do whatever he wanted and get him out of there really speaks volumes to the character. And I think they did a great job with that. All right, let's end on a good note. So to conclude, it is pretty good. I do suggest you go watch it. This is what DC should have been doing the entire time. Although I disagree with them wanting to build up all the character arcs and camaraderie in one single movie, they chose not to do it in all those other movies, or just not at all. So they really didn't have a choice. Zack Snyder did the best that he could, and I think he did a really good job. The character buildup was great. Batman seemed more like Batman. Like Batman doesn't kill people unless he has to. Batman doesn't use guns. That's it. Period. Done. End of story. So if you try to shoehorn some, well, what about this? No, then that's not Batman. Sorry. I know he used one against Darkseid once. We're not going to talk about that. You know, a lot of these recent movies, you just look at it and you say, man, these guys don't know the character. They're going to put their own spin or they're going to read 10 comics and think they know everything about it. But let me just say Batman seemed more like Batman in this one than all the other movies. And there's one scene that really showed that to me, and it's when Superman comes back and he's eyeing the cars and he doesn't know who he is, and the cops and the military folks are just they're running for their lives. You see one of them get blown back, he's on the ground, and Batman picks him up, pats him on the back, and And he's like, "Are you all right? All right, go ahead, run." Like, hey, he cares about people. Okay, you don't really get that sense in a lot of these other movies, but he legitimately cares about people. And I think that little bit of dialogue, again, just like the Aquaman and Cyborg scene, really changes a lot, and for the better. And the same is true with Superman. When he goes home and he's to the farm to Lois, and then his mom Martha shows up, you see him laughing, and he's laughing. He gives her a hug. He's very jovial. And I said, man, there's more Superman in that 30 seconds than there was in Man of Steel. Just saying. Man of Steel is not Superman. We're not gonna go into it. It was good. I thought that Superman felt more like Superman in this one than in the previous movies. So that's it. We made it to the end. Everybody. I appreciate you stopping by. Remember, if you got anything out of this, please subscribe to the channel. It does help me out. Please leave a like if you feel inclined to. Also, comment. Let me know what you agreed with, what you disagree with, what you'd like to see or not see in the future as we move forward. So I try to be a man of my word. I said I would make an apology video if the Snyder Cut ended up being good, and it's freaking good. It's freaking good, y'all. All right, I'm Dave with Sarkman Gaming. Y'all be safe out there.